In conversation with Randy Judd. Randy Judd is an American author specializing in wholesome and uplifting character-driven novels. He came to writing later in his life. Over the last 30 years, his career took him on the road frequently. During this windshield time, he spent the hours developing stories based on people and places he experienced. Recent retirement gives Randy the time and motivation to put the stories on paper. He intends to continue writing books which inspire and uplift. And on today's episode of our interview, it's my utmost pleasure and joy to have on the show today Randy Judd. How are you doing, Randy?
I'm well. Thank you for having me on here, Peter.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on the show today. It's quite exciting. We're going to be talking about your body of works.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about them.
Yeah. So, Randy, I see that you have a great number of works out there, and I'm thrilled we're going to be discussing them today. So, let's start with the listening bench. What would you tell a stranger in confidence? I want to say that's such an amazing title for a book, really. Now, how does this book come about? What inspired the making of the listening bench?
Show you a picture. So there's
Beautiful
the book.
cover.
Okay. The listening bench came about because a few years ago I heard about a bench in England. I think it was in the London area where people would come and just sit and talk to each other. And I thought that would make an amazing story of people that could just have a place to go and open up. So the book is about it's a novel, and
Yeah.
so it's fictional, and it's about a man who has retired from his work but feels a little listless. He doesn't know what he's going to do with the rest of his life, and he goes
Mm,
to the park a lot with his dog, and he meets people there, and he starts finding there's a need for people to talk to other people. So little by little, people start sitting at his bench and talking to him. Well, then he makes a formal thing where people have to sit on a waiting bench, and then they come over and talk to him, and he's quite busy.
mm,
And through the time on the bench, he hears things of heartbreak, he hears things of happiness, he hears just people that are lonely, people that just want to vent. And through all these people, he learns to be a better listener, and he learns to not that some people don't want to be fixed, they just want to talk, and
mm,
that some people they don't want you to interrupt, they don't want you to answer questions, but sometimes they do want advice. And it's
wow,
about his journey, and it's also the story. The book is not just about the people who visit him, but it's also about his story, about how he got to where he is and through his life. And
wow.
it ends up with a hopefully a very good message for people. I've had a lot of feedback on this book from all around the world. People
Mm,
say things like it makes me want to be a better listener, or
wow.
it moves me to help people, makes me want to do better for people. So I had no idea when I wrote this that it would have the impact on people. I just last week got a picture from someone who had started doing this in his own town, and
Wow.
it's really made me feel grateful for all the reception it's had.
Wow, it's quite exciting to know, really. I love your take on this, and I like your reaction to what people think of the book. That sounds quite amazing to me, really. And now, Randy, you also have another title in the name of Forging Nails, a family saga of revenge and redemption. Now, for readers who haven't read it yet, and without giving much information away, could we have a sneak of what we'd expect in terms of themes picking up Forging Nails? And if you have example there, I'd love you to show it to the camera too.
Yeah, this is Forging Nails. Forging Nails is a epic saga. It starts just after the American Civil War,
Wow.
and it goes for the next 100 years. And it follows two families. One family decided to accept the results of the American Civil War and move forward. The other family didn't like it, and they held on with their anger and their hate. And the
Mm,
two families had a feud at first, a conflict. Um, but one family decided to just move on and not let it hang over them. But the other family hung on to it for 100 years, and they were hating the other family for 100 years. and
Wow.
it talks about the different generations and how they dealt with it.
Wow.
And at the end, there's some resolution, and it's very much a book of redemption and change. And I've had good influence. I mean, good feedback from that also.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing, really. And I love the sound of this. And particularly, I love the reaction that the book or reception that it has on Amazon. Sounds quite amazing to me when I read through it. And now, Randy, there's this question that I love asking authors that come on my show. I've always been fascinated about how authors, especially novelists like yourself, craft long sentences and bring words together in a way that it eventually makes a great novel. These always leave me thinking about how exactly they got their ideas and inspiration. Now, as far as writing is concerned, I would also love to ask you, how do you get the inspiration and ideas for your books? Where did they come from?
Well, it's interesting, Peter. I I don't do outlines of books. I just
Wow,
kind of start writing and see where it takes me.
wow,
Um, it's interesting because I found myself getting excited to see what happens, and I'm the one writing the book. So
wow.
it's like for example on Forging Nails, I knew how I wanted to start it and kind of the generation of it, and I
Mm,
knew what the ending was going to be, but I didn't know what the middle was going to be. The book has three sections, and the middle section, I had no idea what I was going to do. Well, it ended up that middle section is my favorite section. It has some great characters and a strong woman that makes a change in the world. And so my inspiration is really just letting my mind go where it'll go. Now, sometimes it doesn't go in a good place, and I have to, erase and start all over again. But I don't outline where the book is going to go. I just kind of uh, let it flow.
wow, that's quite amazing to know, really. I love your take on this. Sounds quite interesting to me because I've been a huge fan of novel, like sitting down and crafting long sentences, and sometimes I'll be like, "How do people do this?" Really, it's always surprising to me. And now, Randy, you also have another title in the name of The Art of Straightening Nails, a story of triumph over adversity. And that title is so compelling to me. Now, would you like to tell us briefly about the making of that as well?
Yeah, and so this is the art of straightening nails. And I would tell you the art of straightening nails and forging nails, they kind of intertwine. They're not
Oh,
sequels, so you can read either one, but
mm,
some of the characters intertwine. And it's about the same family, but different things happening. So you can read it in either order. Uh,
mm,
the story behind straightening nails is it's about uh, a young man who grows up into adulthood with a lot of uh, discord and strife in his life. He was very poor. He got
mm,
abused by a neighbor boy, and he never can quite figure out in life what it's about and what its worthiness is until the very end when he at the climax he's able to kind of find himself. Uh,
mm.
all three of my books have a good moral or a good something to learn from it at the end.
Wow.
They're very positive, uplifting at the end. During the middle of my books, sometimes it might be a little rough, but they always end positive.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's quite lovely to know, really. See, I love your answers to this question, and it sounds quite interesting to me. So thank you for sharing.
Of course,
Yeah. Now, Randy, let's talk about criticism. As authors, we all have different ways of reacting to feedbacks and criticism of our works. I'm curious to know your opinion about criticism. How do you react to negative reviews of your books in case you've ever had one in time past?
well, when I first started, um, I really was writing just to have a few people read my books. I didn't think it would sell the amount of books it sold. And so at first, when I would get a criticism, it would hurt
Hmm.
me because these books are like my children,
Yeah,
and no one likes their children criticized.
absolutely.
As I got more and more um, feedback, I started to kind of lump the criticism in three parts. The first part is people that just don't like the book, and that's
Mm,
okay. I
yeah,
don't like every book I've read. That's
absolutely.
okay. I don't take that personal. The next one is people that give criticism with ideas, and sometimes those are good ideas, and I
Mm,
can put them into the other books. And sometimes people are just mean, and I don't even care about them. You know, uh, now that I'm just a couple of years past in my books, and I've got thousands of 5-star reviews, and
yeah.
I just I just put those criticism aside. I can't
Mm,
please everyone, but I see
yeah,
that I'm pleasing a lot of people, and so that's the main
absolutely.
thing. Yeah.
Wow. I love your take on criticism, really. It's quite informative and very educative to me. So thank you for sharing. Now, I'm also curious, Randy, to know if you experienced any challenges in the process of writing your books. If there is any, could you share with us what challenge it is and how you ultimately overcame it?
Well, I think every author suffers from writer's block, where you just get to a point and you don't know what to write, and you don't have the inspiration. And
Yeah.
I don't know how to get over that except just give it time, you know, or try some different ways in your mind that the story could go. Um, yeah, I've got a book right now I'm writing that has taken me longer than the other books, and yet it's a shorter book.
Mm,
It's more of a novella, and I find it very challenging to be able to tell the story when I don't have tons of pages. For
mm,
example, like Forging Nails is 400 pages long, so I was able to
wow.
have plenty of time to tell the story. But the next story I'm writing is only about 150, and I'm having trouble being able to. That's a challenge I'm doing. So every book has a different challenge.
Absolutely.
I would imagine some authors get to a point where they just say, "I can't write this book," and they start all over on another book. But yeah, there's like everything in life, there's challenges. But the good thing is for me, I don't feel a lot of pressure. I'm not doing this for a career and a living, so I don't
Mm,
feel the pressure to have my next book come out. So I do it as I can.
wow. That's quite amazing to know, really. I love the sound of that. So thank you for sharing. And now, Randy, apart from the books we've mentioned so far, do you have any other works you've authored or maybe currently working on?
Yes, like I said, I have a novella that I'm working on. It will be about an American football player who in high school is really good, and then he goes to college and he's really good, and he's trying to get drafted into the professional football. Uh,
Oh,
but but something comes along that puts kind of a roadblock in his life, and he's got to decide whether he goes for his dream or he goes for this new dream,
mm,
and that's the challenge. So I'm working on that one. The working title is his MVP, like most valuable player. Uh, but yeah, so once again, it should have a good meaning to it, and a good ending.
wow, that's quite lovely to know. And I hope that goes on successfully. Hopefully, when that is up, we'd love to have you back on the show to talk about it. That would be fun, really.
Of course.
Yeah. Now, Randy, is there anything that you'd love to share with the viewers about your books, about your writing that we did not mention in this interview? And I'd love the viewers to know.
Yeah, and I don't know what the audience is that you reach, if it's new writers or if it's people that have a lot of writing, because I don't feel like I have any knowledge really to share except just what I've learned along the way. I've learned
Mm,
a lot from like YouTube videos on crafting characters,
mm,
or I look at where I started writing and to now. I think I've changed a lot.
oh,
But any famous author would look at it and just shake their head and say, "No, you haven't." You're. But
well,
hopefully, to those who are just starting out, if that's who your audience is, I would
mm,
say, try to make it a craft and try to make it better. Don't just say I'm going to
absolutely.
write the way I want to write, because that's what I started like. But just always try to make yourself better, and read and learn and watch videos and how you can develop things and grammar and those type of things. So just continue to work on making things better.
Wow. Well, thank you. That's such an amazing advice, really. I love the sound of it. And now, Randy, in case we have some interested viewers who are currently watching this interview and would love to get a copy of your book, on what platform is it available on for purchase?
So it's only available on Amazon, and it's a self-published book. And I did that on purpose because at the start, I just thought I wanted it out there for a few friends and family to read. But as it got
Mm,
more popular and started selling more and more and more books, I like the control I had on Amazon. Uh, I haven't sought after a publisher because
wow.
I feel I like the success I'm having just on my own. But yeah, that's where you could find it. Just you can go to Randy Judd on Amazon or look at any of the titles and they'll come up and you'll get to read the reviews. I'm excited that I have over 1,000 5-star reviews and about 2,000 reviews altogether. So you should be able to get a good idea of what the books are like.
Yeah, that's amazing, really. And I left a link in the description part of this interview where interested viewers can get a copy of Randy Book Jude's books directly on Amazon and other platforms as well. So thank you so much, Randy, for accepting the invitation to be featured on P English Literature. It's awesome having this conversation with you.
Well, and thank you for what you're doing. I think you're doing a great thing where you're bringing people all over the world together to meet different authors. I've enjoyed watching the videos and have gone to some of those authors and reached out to them. So I really appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that as well.